Hello, and welcome to a special stream of Gaze of Our Lives to benefit the Bodhana group. Today, we are going to be running our haunt with its creator, Jamila Najati, also known as Jammy. Please take a moment, if you like this content or anything that the Bodhana group does, please take a moment and consider donating to the Bodhana group in their programming. There is a link in the panel below the stream. We're going to quickly introduce ourselves, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jamie so that they can tell us a little bit about our haunt. My name is Hallie Palmer. I am kind of hosting today. Um, who would like to go next?
Hi, Ken. My name is Maggie. I'm Jessie.
Nina, are you able to go?
I'm Nina, and I totally know how to use a computer.
You do.
I use whatever pronouns you'd like, and this is my first time playing with Gaze of Our Lives. I've been on the waiting list, and I'm so excited.
Thank you. I guess we should make sure we say our pronouns. Sorry, I got a little nervous. My pronouns are she, her.
Mine are they, she, and mine are she, they.
Thank you. And then I want to hand the spotlight to Jamie so that Jamie can tell us a bit about their game.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Jamie. My pronouns are they, he, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So, our Hind is a tabletop role-playing game that is about a bunch of ghosts that haunt an old mansion, and we've made it our home, basically. So, our Hind uses the belonging outside belonging system, which doesn't use any dice, doesn't have a game master. Basically, we all take turns being the guide for a scene. And yeah, it's up to us. We don't remember much, right? From before we died, we don't remember much from our time when we were alive. And we only have our fragmented memories, but it's up to us if we want to try to regain those memories or if we're going to create new ones together in this newfound family that we have in our haunt. So yeah, the game is equal parts. Is it okay for me to say equal? I felt like it was equal as I was writing the game. Equal parts cozy and creepy. It's very much inspired by things like Beetlejuice, Addams Family, but also like it went pretty hard on the creepy, scary parts at some sections. But the nice thing about our haunt is since it's based on your choices, it's up to us how creepy and how cozy we want to go with the game, right? And that can change from scene to scene, moment to moment. Yeah, so basically that's our haunt. Thank you so much for having me.
For joining us. I do want to make sure to say that our haunt is going to be launching on Kickstarter. Is it on October 12th, 2021, right?
Yeah, yes.
So
I'm
in
so
2 days.
excited. Yeah, exciting. But yeah, you can head to there'll be a link also on my Twitter at Temporal Hiccup. You can check out the pinned tweet if you want to find the link. And yeah, and there's gonna be some really cool stuff with the Kickstarter because like when we were talking about merch, I was like, can things glow in the dark? We can make things glow in the dark, right? Like I don't know. So Ruby, who's one of the magical people in Possum Creek Games, made stuff that glows in the dark. So very exciting.
I think that CASST gamers shared some t-shirt designs and they look pretty amazing.
Yeah, so exciting.
Excellent. So we will move into the introduction and then we'll to the game and then onto character creation.
Yeah, sounds good. I can go ahead and read out the first paragraph from the introduction, and then maybe we can go in the same order as when we introduced ourselves. So, right, just so that it's a bit somewhat easier. So I'll go ahead and read the first paragraph. We can't remember how we died. This old mansion is falling apart, old creaking boards hiding secrets eaten away by time. Through broken windows and doors that slowly swing open on their own, we've discovered a dreamy purgatory, a shadows and weakened nightmares.
We've found a way for our fading hands to reach each other past the heavy veils of death and unlife, and we won't let each other go. We've claimed this haunt as our own, and not even the living walk through our halls and inspect our rooms can take that away from us.
What little is left of our memories hangs suspended in the dusty air, shattered and beautiful, whispering and haunting. A warm kiss, the rain on a sad smile, eyes in the dark, a knife catching the last of the light.
Our haunt asks us if we wish to travel down the twisted maze of our broken memories, or if we will build new ones with the family we found.
Not everything in our haunt is safe. Something ancient and hollowed breathes under the peeling wallpaper. Something empty and angry claws away at the ceiling. Something desperate and cold wails at just the edge of hearing, aching to be heard.
Perhaps there are things far worse than death. But for now, this is all we are and all we have. A broken down mansion, a few shattered memories, a whispered song, the promise of a family, and the watchful eyes of something sinister. Welcome home. So, I'm so excited. Okay. So we'll go ahead and introduce our characters, right? So I think we can also do it in the order of the character keeper that we have. So that means we'll start with our kitty. I got very excited with the cat picture. It's so adorable. So, but yeah, so when you introduce your character, you can just go through their name, the options that you chose for their look, what you remember as a character, right? From the choices that you picked. Feel free to interpret these as much as you like. What you yearn for and the bonds you have. So by the time we finish introducing our characters, we'll have like the super rich palette to draw from. We'll see how much we can get into in our one shot today. But yeah, so let's start with our kitty.
All right. My name is Eleanor, the cat, and my pronouns are she, her. And let's see. My name was taken from a broken memory. I have a sleek and carefully groomed coat, a shadow that doesn't quite follow me, a beautiful singing voice that no one appreciates. And what I remember is someone calling me by a different name and a warm bed with someone who loved me. What I yearn for, to find and meet the great ghost cat king. And then should I go into bonds and relationships?
Yeah, you can. I want to ask you though, what do you know about the great ghost cat king? Like, have you met them before and you're going to meet them again? Or is this like you've just heard of them and they're a legend, right?
The great ghost cat king is someone I've heard of, like a legend. I have not met him yet, but my understanding was that when I died, I would.
Ooh, I see. Nice. Okay. So yeah, and then you can tell us about your bonds. So the bonds are like the supporting characters that we have, right? That one of us may play during a scene if we like. So who are the kitty's bonds?
Yeah, my bonds are a loyal and silly ghost dog. And I call that ghost dog Dogzilla because I don't know its names. But the dog is big and very silly and playful. And then my other bond is a young living cat who sees me as their mentor. I kind of like to try to protect that cat. She's also orange, like me.
So sweet, so sweet. So how ghostly do you look? Like if the living saw you, would they mistake you for a real cat, right? A living cat? Or do you really look more ghostly?
Yeah, I think more from a distance, especially. I just look like a cat. It's when you try to get closer to me or especially touch me that one would realize that I am in fact a ghost.
Ooh, so this makes me question every cat I see out there now. So in a
Yeah.
very good way. So excellent, excellent. All right. And then next, let's meet our doll.
Hello, I'm the doll. My name is Belladonna. Woke up one day, tiny, frail body, and I hate it so much. I don't remember much. I have a beautiful old name. There are secrets on my skin, shaking, ill-suited clothing that's not very flattering, but I'm trying to make it broken. Try to cover it. What I remember, breaking down in front of me, didn't care, and a breaking bone and a drawn-out sigh, not pleasant. And I yearn for a human body that I can control, because this is not my body. And my bonds are a fragment of a ghost that steals. His name is Alejandro, named Alejandro after an old memory that I can no longer recall. I think stole it from me. I found a little spirit inside of a little doll head, and I helped create a body for it. And its name is Warren. I try to help them out. They're trapped in their despair.
I love this so much. I love everything about it. So actually, fun fact, every time I play test this game, like 90% of the time I get the doll. Like it just so happens. So excited uh to see this doll in action. So can't wait, can't wait. Yeah, and then I'll go ahead and introduce my character next. So I'm playing the betrayed. My name is Beatrix. I use they them pronouns. So basically I am a ghost that's stuck in this pain, this cycle of torture. And my name is a name I took from a broken heart. I know that it's not my name. I know that it's someone who is saying their name, but I can't remember my own. So I'll just borrow this for now. And my look is I have knotted hair with trinkets braided into it, black and blood and unhealed wounds, and something else that shows how I died violently. I wanted to take advantage of the beautiful art that Habil Firdas is doing for our haunt. So basically, what Beatrix looks like is they have like this plastic bag that's around their head, and there's like this other huge plastic bag that follows them around because after they were murdered, they were discarded. And then they have these floating daggers that they just play with from time to time. Uh, but despite Beatrix's very scary look, they're actually like very calm and very relaxed until their anger gets out of hand. And so what I remember is a kiss for protection and good luck and flashes of a difficult death. And the two memories intertwine in a way that doesn't feel natural, but I can't remember anything else. And what I yearn for is to replace the family I can't remember. And the two bonds I have are a living child who I must protect. So the living child's name is Red. They use they, them pronouns. They live next door. They are, do we still call them latchkey kids? Is that what we call them nowadays? Oh my gosh. But
I was a
basically,
latchkey kid.
right? Same. I was the key is in the washing machine kid. So, but basically, Red is home all the time, takes care of themselves. Their parent is hardly home, and so Red comes over to play a lot. And I feel like I need to protect them because I remember that it was Red who gave me that kiss for good luck, but I don't remember what our relationship was or was. And my other memory is my other bond is a photo album of voices who speak to me. So it's this old photo album that I found in the haunt. And one of the photos in particular is very talkative. And so that's Wesley. Wesley uses he, him, she, her pronouns. And yeah, Wesley is my best friend. And so I see Wesley as my sibling that I could have had possibly. But yeah, but Wesley wears like very old clothes. Like obviously Wesley's from a different time entirely, like way before this one. Yeah, and then so that's Beatrix. I'd love to meet our faceless.
So, hello, I'm Calypso. I, my name, it comes from a sound. I'm not sure what that sound is, but it's here. My pronouns are they, them, and there's barely anything left of me. The softest of the shadow, the trick of the light, movement in the corner of someone's eye. But I feel deeply, so deeply. I'm connected to everyone's silent thoughts, desires, fears, and I give voice and substance to it. While I'm trying to discover, and I'm not sure what it is, what I am. I look like an endless refraction of light, a voice that's just on the edge of your hearing, shifting colors in the corner of your eye. Sometimes I remember healing someone with my voice. Sometimes I remember an argument, rising and rising, reaching a fever pitch. But I yearn to find why can I see into people's hearts and minds? I have two bonds. One with this living man who sings a broken song whenever I'm here. His name is Jacob. He likes to wander around the area. Occasionally, he gets close to our haunt, and when he does, I hear the song. It's a bit broken. I'm not sure what it is, but it is here. And my other bond is with a person that speaks to me through a book that writes itself.
Ooh, I love that so much. And so, and yeah, I love the picture that you chose. It's so awesome in our character keeper. I want to ask about the mysterious person that speaks to you through the book. Like, what's the book look like? Like, what do they usually talk to you about?
It's an old book. I think it might be a children's book. The color is really faded. There's a lot of pictures in it. And the pictures change. Sometimes they're very, very nice, very cute. Some animals here and there. Other times, they're really creepy, kind of weird. I don't know what the images are, but they make me feel uncomfortable. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I love that so much. Perfect, perfect. All right. And then last but not least, we're going to meet our returned. So yeah, if you could introduce our return to us.
Hi, I'm Doc. I use he, or at least that's what I've heard people use. And I was somewhere really nice and warm, like um, a warm lap, or being hand held by the hand. And I remember that my name comes there's a broken song I can't quite remember, but it came something from that. um my feet are bare and they never quite touch the ground, so I'm feeling a little um out of place, and unable to really connect. And I just keep humming this song that I feel connected to, and some sort of movement of my hands that goes with it, and just trying to remember. Um, there are dozens of layers of every color that are soft and inviting, and this feeling that I have inside seems to show on the outside now in a way that it didn't. So I know there's something different about now than before in the time that I can't remember. Um, I do remember gently comforting someone fairly regularly, and the sort of last thing that I remember is something dangerous, some sort of weapon that came at me from the shadows, but I can't quite remember what happened of that, and I just yearn to find out who or what brought me back. Like, why am I here? And I just really want to be in that warm, comforting place forever. um I do have a sibling that I left behind that I know um was constantly kind of warning me that I was doing some things they felt were dangerous, but I couldn't possibly imagine why what I was doing felt dangerous. It just seemed the right thing to do. And um there's I don't know if they're not really a professional kind of detective, but they're really good at deducing some things, and I think they would be really interested in meeting me again and finding out what happened with me.
Nice, nice. I like that so much. And so, yeah, and I think we can. So, just to let everybody know, when you play our haunt, you also pick a room that your ghost is most comfortable in, and I think I'm just going to briefly say who picked what room, but then when we actually have a scene in that room, we can go into more detail about what that room is like. So, our cat is most at home in the garden, and our doll is most at home in the lost room, and the betrayed is most at home in the parlor, and our faceless is most at home in the attic, and our returned is most at home in the study. So I'm so excited to get into that. And before we get any further, I'd love to review our safety tools just to let everybody know, because of course we want to have a good time and we're going to take care of each other. So the safety tools that we agreed to use today is a combination of lines and veils, script change, and an open door policy. So I'll go ahead and describe what these are. So for lines and veils, that means whatever we say is behind a hard line will not show up in the game, period. Whatever is behind a veil can happen like off screen, or we can mention it, but we won't go into too much detail. We also have ask first, which means it's probably okay if it shows up in the game, but we want to check in because context matters a lot. And we also have a not for me, meaning it's okay if it happens to another character, but not if it happens to a particular one. So I'm going to review the ones that we have. And I want to remind everybody that this is like a living document. So if we change our mind about anything at any time, right, that's totally okay. That's what script change is for, which I'll describe in a bit. So we have, let's see, hard lines, meaning it will not show up in the game at all, for the following, which is homophobia, nose in particular objects going up it, police, racism, sexual assault, transphobia. And we have veils, meaning this will show up behind a veil for drug abuse, eye injuries, graphic gore, harm to animals, suicide, torture, and risk war. And we have an ask first for body horror, bullying, childhood abandonment, and starvation. And we have not for me, processing death of a mom, in particular for one of our players. I won't say, just for the sake of, but it'll be there. we can refer to it in the tab. Yeah, and we also have this handy dandy romance chart, right? So if we are interested in having romance for our characters or not, which we can refer to. And next we have script change. So basically, I used to say script change is like a remote control, but I don't know if most remotes have this anymore. I keep betraying my age every so often. So basically, we have the following commands, which are pause, stop, fast forward, and rewind. So when we pause, we can check in on something. This is when we can ask a question, very much related to our lines and veils when we want to check in. And stop for when we're going to take a break. We are going to take a break about halfway through the game, but if we need to take a break at any other time, just let us know. And then fast forward. I really like the idea of fast forward. It's, you know, you can say something like, I know something creepy or horrible is going to happen in this moment, but I don't want to go every detail. Can we just fast forward it and say it happened, right? We can totally do that at any time. And then rewind is also really important. If you say, you know, I said I was okay with this, or I introduced this, or someone else did, but I realized I'm not okay with it. So can we rewind and change it? Which of course we can, because we're very creative people. We can change anything on the fly so that we're having a good time, right? And yeah, and lastly, we have an open door policy, which just means if you need to step away for whatever reason, please feel free to do so. If you can tell us when you're coming back, that'd be great. If not, that's also great, right? As long as you take care of yourself first. Okay, do we have any questions about our safety tools for today?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, for the ask first, how would you ask first in the game? Like, would we go out of character, or how does that work usually?
Oh, yeah. So usually going out of character, I highly recommend, usually in a game like our Haunt especially, it's going to be easy to go in and out of character because someone's going to be the guide. We take turns being that. But yeah, so for example, let's say bullying, we can say we're in the middle of like role playing and we'll say, I'm thinking about having this character be a bit of a bully, or I'm thinking about introducing the fact that my character was bullied. How do we feel about that? Right. And then we can check in with everyone and see how we feel. If you're not comfortable saying out loud that you're not okay with something, you can type it in the chat. Right. Okay. So yeah.
Because full disclosure, the first one I checked off but I also know that the doll is a really great way to explore body horror, and I have some body-based trauma, so I might, but I also just like don't want it to be like a surprise for everyone. So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which we'll see if it even comes out.
Yeah, we'll see. So thank you so much for asking. Great question. Yeah, so with that, I think we're ready to play. We're gonna do our relationship questions for our characters. That was the last bit of character creation. Now that we've gotten a chance to get to know our characters and we've absorbed them a little bit. So basically, you have one of two questions to ask, and then it's up to you who would you like to ask them. So I see for our cat, you have a question. Who do you think you want to answer it?
All right, I am looking here. Okay. So my question is, how do I bother you? Why do you secretly like it? And I am going to ask, great question. So Calypso.
Yeah. So, how do you bother me?
And why?
Okay, so you like to be underfoot, and you can be seen sometimes, and it's really fun and interesting how you get to interact with everyone. And I secretly like it because I like seeing the interactions. I like feeling how that makes you feel, all of the joy that's there.
I kind of like the idea that almost everybody else can't really see Calypso, but the cat just instinctively knows how to get caught up. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, excellent, excellent. All right, and our doll, what relationship question would you like to ask and to who?
My question is, what shameful secret do we share? Why can't we tell anyone? Hmm. Let me look at our character sheets a little bit.
Yeah, and if you need time to think about it, no worries. We can skip to the next person too. So no
I think
pressure.
I want to ask you. 'cause
Ooh, ooh. Oh, okay, okay. Shameful secret do we share? Why can't we tell anyone? I think you and I were the first to wake up in the haunt before anybody else. And let me know how you feel about this. I think the shameful secret is there used to be other ghosts and we can't remember what happened to them.
Ooh,
So
I
it's a
like
bit
that.
I think the shame comes from like, did we abandon them? Did we let down that first family? Right. So you and I are the only survivors from that first family,
Yeah,
if
or
that
like
makes sense.
maybe we forgot what happened to them and we're all still in danger.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. I like that. Very cool, very cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and then my question is, let's see, I want to ask, yeah, I'm going to ask, ooh, I I kind of want to ask our cat this very like intensely question. How can you help me seek revenge? But why don't I want to involve you? Our kitty cat.
Hmm.
Like, do you know who hurt me, or do you suspect something, or
Well, I have a sense for like predators and like bad things around. So yeah, I want to look at the question.
oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. Take your time.
So how can I help you seek revenge and why don't you want to involve me? So I could help with that sense of like when the bad things are around. I honestly I don't know if you want a cat to get hurt
That's
because
probably
I am really cute. So
you are super cute. You are this beautiful shade of orange.
mhm.
Um, yeah, and so do you keep offering to help me, and do I keep saying no, or is it just a conversation we had the one time?
I have tried to check in with you multiple times. I won't be too pushy about it, but I'll give you little nudges.
Excellent, excellent. I love that a lot. All right, and then Calypso, what? How about your relationship question? Oh, sorry, I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to ask Doc, why do you shield your thoughts from me?
Oh, man. It's a good question. Um, I think that because I don't know really what exactly happened in the end, and um I'm trying to find out who or what brought me back, that I'm just like I definitely have a friendly inclination, but all of a sudden there's a side of me that feels like I need to be scared and suspicious. And so I want to be, it's like my first experience putting up a bunch of walls. before I can open up to anybody. And especially because I can't see you that much.
Ooh, very cool, very cool. All right, and then Doc, what about your question?
So my question is, why am I your best friend forever? And it's interesting because my one thing with spooky stuff is like the one thing that will always creep me out is dolls out of character. But I kind of like evenly spacing out our relationships. So I'm gonna try and confront that head on and ask Belladonna, why am I your best friend forever?
I didn't know I was going to take the doll until I did. Why am I your best friend forever? When you used to be somewhere good and then you came back, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're my best friend forever because you went somewhere and you got to be bigger than you are now and you came back, and that makes me feel like maybe I'll be able to go there. And you also seem to understand me a little bit more than some of the others.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what it's like to be put into something that you don't want to be in. Like you were somewhere great and then you came here.
Mm-hmm.
And so you understand a little bit of what it's like to be in this terrible little doll body.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. All right. So with that, before we jump into play, I just want to double check. Has anyone here had any experience in playing a belonging outside belonging game before? Ooh, delicioso.
Just this morning.
Oh, what did you play? What did you play?
Wander Home.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, I love Wander Home. So also by Boston Creek Games. So yeah. So basically with belonging outside belonging, you have at your disposal, right? Strong moves, neutral moves, and vulnerable moves. And so basically, you keep track of tokens. There's a section in your playbook where you can write down how many tokens you have. We all start with 0, right? And so when we want to do a strong move, so for example, the betrayed, one of my strong moves is protect someone or something important. If I want to do something like that, I have to spend 2 tokens in order to do it, right? And so the way you can get tokens is by using one of your vulnerable moves, right? So for example, as the betrayed, one of my vulnerable moves is experience an incoherent flashback of pain, right? So if I describe what that's like, then I get a token from it. And then later I can spend that token on, I'll need 2, right, to spend it on a strong move. But yeah. And then your neutral moves are things that you can just do at any time. Actually, J Dragon described neutral moves as like the idle animation a video game character does is kind of like the vibe. So your neutral move is just something you can always do. So for example, with the betrayed, I can always scratch my nails on a surface, leaving blood, because that's just the kind of ghost I am. Very, very mild, no problems whatsoever with rage. Yeah, so we all have our neutral moves, our vulnerable moves, and our strong moves. So don't feel too pressured to like have all of it in mind. Like the whole point of belonging outside belonging is it takes a while for you to get the hang of your moves and to become familiar with them. They're very open to your interpretation. And the thing that's special about our haunt is you also have ghostly abilities, right? Because we get to be a little spooky. So you can always use your ghostly abilities. The only difference is if you want to use them well, you spend 2 tokens for it to be a strong move. If you want to use your ghostly ability to create consequence, then you can do it as a vulnerable move and you'll get a token out of it. right? So for example, one of my ghostly abilities is to twist myself into horrifying, menacing shapes, right? And it's up to me what that means in the moment, right? So all of this is really up to your imagination and your interpretation. So I encourage you to experiment and have fun with it, right? And so that's the main mechanic of belonging inside belonging in our haunt. And the thing is, we also have our rooms, and so basically when a scene takes place in your room, you are kind of like the GM for the scene. So I noticed that some players are okay with playing both their character and the room that they own, but if it's like too much for you and you just want to focus on being the room, you can totally do that, right? The rest of us can, if you want to play the supporting characters instead, totally okay. But I'll show what it's like to play a room, right? Because we'll start with my parlor, right? We get to hang out and spend time in the parlor. So I think in terms of play today, we have time for about 2 scenes, depending. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we can do more. So we'll try for at least 2 rooms today. So I'm at the tab of flow of play and lures. So at the start of the game, normally this is for a full game, so I think I'm going to skip to the second set of questions, but just so people know, at the start of the game we usually ask who of us wants to focus on the story of their character or their room of our haunt, and who of us wants to voice supporting characters. I will say I would like to voice the loyal silly dog at some point, the loyal ghost silly dog. I just want to, but if anyone wants dibs on the dog, totally fine, just saying, just putting myself out there. But yeah, and which character we want to focus on. For usually this is better in like long play when we say, oh, we did a lot of like my character last time, so I'd love to see more of Bodhana this session, so on and so forth. But yeah, and so but let's go to the start of each scene. So we ask who is in the scene. So we're starting in the parlor, right? So usually who is in the scene, we choose 2 to 3 main characters, and then we'll ask where's the scene taking place, who else is in the scene. So these are the times we bring in the supporting characters, and what is the scene about maybe. So it's kind of like a writing room. We kind of like briefly figure out what we want the scene to be about maybe, but we'll just go ahead and play it out, right? Yeah, so we do already know that it'll take place in the parlor. Who would like to be in the scene though as a main character, right? If everybody says I want to all, I want to be it as my main character, we can do that, right? So, but yeah. So Haley, do you want Belladonna to be in the scene as a main character in the parlor?
Hallie, yeah, I can. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And then how about our kitty Eleanor? Are you going to be in the scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, it's our first time, so I think, but I just wanted to double check. And how about Doc? Are you going to be in the scene?
Yes. Yeah. Let's just jump into this. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And Calypso, would you like to be in the scene as well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm happy to play any supporting characters that want to come up. If you want to introduce any of your bonds, we can do that, but I'd love to introduce, because in the parlor, I picked one of the unsolvable problems is the Dread Sword Queen. It's the first time I introduced a Sword Queen in the game. I thought I'm allowed to do that. But yeah, so I'd love this to be about us having to deal with the Dread Sword Queen who wants to like have a duel with someone, right? At some point, maybe the Sword Queen will show up. But yeah. But in general, I think it could just be us hanging out in the parlor and seeing what we get up to, right? Is that okay with everybody? Okay, cool. So I will go ahead and set up the scene. So as the guide, I can look at the aesthetics I've chosen to help describe what the room is like. I have some unsolvable problems that I can bring in at any time. They're called unsolvable because they will just show up from time to time. We can never really fully address them, right? And I have at my disposal parlor moves. So whenever I ask someone to do any of these moves. If you agree to it, you get a token, but you can always like not agree, right? Or you can change the context of the move, totally fine. So just so that people know what the parlor moves are, I can ask someone to play a game of chance and wager something truly important. I can ask someone to take on airs and play the part of a gracious host. I can ask someone to reveal something beautiful, right? And so once again, this can be a physical thing that's beautiful in the parlor, or it can be like a more metaphorical thing, right? Up to you. And I can also ask someone to tell a story, to entertain and dazzle. Everyone who adds to the story with exaggerated flourish gains a token too. So this one huge story that we can all tell. And the last one is ask someone to deal with the problem of the parlor. I realized I forgot to put the letter K in all of these in the last one, but there you go. Yeah. So with that, let me go ahead and set the scene, right? So the parlor, memories covered in faded glamour and wrapped up in cracked laughter. What is left to barely shine remains here in the parlor. Here there was once beauty, painted and measured, glorious and on display for all to see. It is here where time is most deceitful, hanging precariously on desire unspoken. We have a collection of expensive, broken curios that leak with spiritual energy. So I think here in the parlor, there are those huge curio cabinets that have like the glass on them. And I think one of them, I just want to check. So Nina, I know that you said you're not super comfortable with dolls. If I fill this curio cabinet with dolls, will you hate me forever? Should I put something else?
No, just keep the description of the dolls light and we're good.
Okay. So I'm gonna say like they're more like on the My Little Pony side of dolls, right? Okay.
You don't have to go that far. They can still be creepy.
So we have an entire, like one of the glass cabinets is full of those dolls, right? And right now it's twilight, right? The sun has just set. And so the light shifts and moves in strange ways, but everything is painted this like beautiful orange, right? Very subdued pinks. And so we have that entire glass cabinet full of dolls, and all the others are just like strange little brickbats, right? Like all these. There's an entire cabinet that's like an entire village that was put together. You know, they bought like each piece of the village. So here's the town square, and here is the lighthouse, and here is the little farm, right? And it all connects there. But the spiritual energy that leaks is if you come too close to the curio cabinets, you can hear things. Like if you come close to the dolls, you can hear them gossiping and laughing. If you come close to the village, you can hear the sound of like people going about their day, right? Like as if they're waking up to get bread from the baker, so on and so forth, right? And there's also a tarot deck that contains a swarm of mismatched soul. And so there's like a table, and it's kind of like, you can tell this is one of those, like, they really were trying to sell the idea of a tarot reader, right? So there is like a fake crystal ball in the middle. There are all these like fake symbols. I used to be a professional tarot reader for like a few years, so these things always make me laugh. Anyway, so this table has all these like sigils and patterns on it that don't mean anything, right? The only truly magical part is the tarot deck, which just tends to shuffle itself again and again. Like it shuffles itself, it opens it up, it displays the cards, it puts it back in, right? There's an invisible hand that moves the tarot deck. And lastly, there are the fanciest clothes that delight and entertain us. So when the camera pans around the parlor, we can see that there are all these really fancy clothes, but they're all very old, and you know, they're kind of falling apart and they're full of dust, but they move around as if there's a party going on. So there's no one in the clothes as far as we can see, but all the clothes just move back and forth. So we're starting in a party scene, basically. We have our tarot deck, right? We have our guests that we cannot see that are moving back and forth in these fancy dusty clothes, and we have our curio cabinet. And so I'm going to ask each of us like what we're doing in the room in this party, right? And so I'll start with Beatrix. I think Beatrix is just watching the tarot cards, like it is trying to every so often steal one of the cards, but then it just goes back into the deck. And so Beatrix is a little upset that they can't figure out how to keep a card and get one. I'm just going to look at my playbook if there's a way I can power game and already use a vulnerable move. Um, ooh, let's see. I think I'm going to, because I have a vulnerable move, break someone or something important to you. I was really trying to get one of the tower cards because it's pretty important to me. I accidentally ripped one. And then so I go, ooh, just put it back. But like now whoever is shuffling the cards is a little upset. You can tell it's a little different. And of course the card that I ripped had to be the death card because let's just go for 4 cliche right now. So and I go, oh, really sorry. And so I can't hang out with the tarot deck anymore. But I'm putting in that I got a token for doing that. But yeah, so how about our kitty? So Eleanor, what are you up to in the parlor right now?
Yeah, so I am watching the clothes that are kind of like moving around. Sorry, that was actually a cat falling down, causing problems, exactly like what I'm doing right now. And so there's these clothes moving around, and I stick my little orange pop and I get a ribbon, and I'm like taking this ribbon from the dress and trying to be really playful and trying to like love on whoever is in the dress, like nudge a little bit. That is, I believe, one of my vulnerable moves.
Oh, nice. I thought we were going for that. Which one? Which one?
Like showing my open desire for affection.
Perfect. Like the way a cat goes, like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Your attention, please. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So go ahead and take a token. Everybody don't feel pressured to power game immediately, right? If you just want to describe what your character's up to, please feel free. But I cannot resist. So yeah, so I think we see that. I think the camera moves back and forth, right? We see Eleanor making her way through all of the guests. Every once in a while you can hear a very faded like, oh, is that a cat in here? Who let the cats in here? Right, every so often. And so how about our faceless? What do we see or not see of our faceless?
I guess this would be a not see of the faceless, just the Calypso. They're moving back and forth between the table with the tarot deck and the costumes and just trying to like go back and forth, just looking at everything and all of the shiny things. And I want to use a neutral move actually at the tarot deck to stare into nothing and see the unseen.
Oh, I love that. So what are you seeing? Like, does that mean you're seeing something no one else can see or?
Yeah, I want to see if I can see this whoever it is that is shuffling the deck.
Oh, I like that. And so as Calypso, as you focus, right? And I think this is a moment where let me know how you feel about this. Like when you're seeing the unseen, the refraction of the light shifts and moves subtly, right? And so even though for the rest of us it's twilight, right, and the sun is fading, for you in this moment, it's like the sun is rising, right, and dawn is filling the room for a moment as the light refracts all around you. And you can see that it's this very serious looking fellow, right? Very huge glasses, can barely keep it on his face. He's got like this very prim and proper suit that you can tell he's not very happy about being in, but he's wearing this like ridiculous, like over the top set of robes and capes that's supposed to mark how he's from an important place, right? Like one of these secret societies that uses the tarot to reveal all, right? And so when you see straight into him, he looks at it, he goes, oh, and you realize he hasn't been looked at in a long time. And he says, hello? Can I help you?
Hi. Can you tell me about one of your memories?
Ooh.
Which is one of my vulnerable moves.
Excellent. Okay. So when you do that, he blinks a little rapidly. He says, my memories, but my dear, I can remember every and he starts to realize that he can't really remember everything as he was about to tell you. Like he hits this wall. I and he stops shuffling. He looks at the cards again, and he moves his hand across the deck and he says, I remember, and the two of cups falls out, right? And you can see it's like two people reaching out to each other, holding a set of cups to the other. And he says, I remember asking him if he'll stay with me forever, but I can't remember what his answer was. And he looks so incredibly sad in that moment.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, my dear. I'm happy to remember it. And so I think the camera moves again, and yeah. But I'd love to come back to this moment with Calypso and our tarot reader, and I'd like to ask Belladonna, like, what do we see of you? I can't help but feel like the camera goes shrink to the doll, right? From this moment too. But what's Belladonna doing? Yeah.
I think Belladonna. First I want to know, where's Doc? My BFF.
Yeah, sure. Of course, that's right.
So Doc is over by the curio cabinet. And
that's where I am.
And Doc starts as just like a small bit of light, maybe about the size of a mouse, and just starts to touches kind of a hand appendage lightness, and that starts to follow the side of the cabinet up, and as the hand goes up, Doc gets bigger and bigger, and gets to kind of the levels between the little town and the dolls, and just starts to listen in, and was sort of inspecting these whispers that he heard. And so I think that Doc is hearing the from the little towns just below the dolls, a lot of people sort of talking about, wondering why they're still here, and thinking about things that they must have done, and sort of starting to hear little bits of those who may have had a similar situation to Doc, where something they were almost somewhere and then it got taken away. And so Doc, not even knowing that he's speaking aloud, thinking maybe that he's speaking inside of his head, he goes, it's okay. I don't think that we all try our best. You don't have to beat yourself up so much. It's okay. You can forgive yourself. You can forgive yourself. And so that is a vulnerable move of reaching out and offering forgiveness.
Oh yeah, I love that. And if you want to combo that move, I want to ask you to reveal something beautiful, which is one of the parlor moves. What is beautiful about the village right now, as Doc offers this forgiveness? Like, what changes about the village?
So I think that Doc saw this, and Doc feels like it was beautiful the whole time, but as they're expressing these concerns and hopes, all the little spirits in the village are kind of twinkling on and off, like lights turning on and off in the village. And then as Doc offers the consoling, slowly, like little by little, you see from one little house to the next, all the lights go on full and just sort of like fill that level of the cabinet with this nice little bright moment. And you can see, even if there's a spirit in the house that isn't really brightening up, that the other bright spirits are sort of coming around to kind of share their light.
Ah, I love that so much. Yeah, so get another token for that. So you already have 2 tokens. Excellent. But yeah, so Belladonna, like while Doc is offering their figure, and you can hear the villagers going, what? Like there are all these like small sounds where you can see like, and they're all like, ooh, ah, as the lights fill up in the curio cabinet. But Belladonna, what do you do?
Belladonna's very nearby because she's drawn to the dolls. And she's just staring at them. Wow. And kind of hears Doc, but she's just kind of losing herself in the glass eyes of these lifeless dolls. And so this is a neutral move, and she just is very, very still and looks at them. Um and and she just says, like, while Doc is there, she just says, like, clearly there's no heaven. Like, clearly, like, I'm if this is all there is, like, how come some people get to be in like bodies that fit them and I am in this, and I'm like these things. And so that was a lure move.
I was about to say, excellent, excellent.
And I am going to, so apparently I can manipulate, or I can possess and control any doll in the area. So I am going to possess the largest doll in the case and push the rest of the dolls off the shelf. I just
Perfect.
crash. And then I come back into my body and I pick up a couple pieces that might go really well for Alejandro. No, for Warren. Sorry, for Warren. Warren does need a couple new pieces. Their eyes are kind of falling out, but I am just, and I take some clothes that aren't too bad and I compare them to what I'm wearing, and I'm just disgusted by these. They're terrible. I hate them.
I was gonna say, like, do you want to use your ghostly ability with consequence? I feel like the consequence is like how terrible the clothing is, maybe. Like that's already a pretty big consequence to me. But what do you think?
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. That I'll say like there's a moment when you like pick up some of the clothes, like this doll was decidedly made in the 80s, right? You can hear the 80s music when you pick up the outfit and put it back down. So like you pick it up, I want to know what love is, put it back down. So
like, I am trying to get into the spirit of the party, and I do find, like, like some grunge clothes. This is definitely more what feels like me instead of this ruffled, disgusting, moth-eaten dress. I can't believe someone would wear that. Like, why would you even buy this? This is terrible. Ugh.
and so when you change, so when you change your outfit, I think Beatrix looks over to you and says like, oh, Belladonna, I love that on you. And Beatrix comes over, floats over, goes upside down. Like, but how about your hair? We have to do
Don't touch it.
something about it. Oh,
No.
oh, right. Oh, sorry. Right. But yeah, okay. And you can see Beatrix keeps like wants to, and then pulls their hand back over and over again. Like they have a bit of a problem with boundaries.
She's gonna take advantage of the situation a little bit with her innocence tonight. Okay, if you want to, you can, but like, could you like maybe get me some like cool clothes? Do you think you could do that?
Ooh, how cool is
That's
cool?
her lashes. You'll know it when you see it.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. right? And so, are you trying to use your ghostly ability of convince a being to care for you?
Oh, I was thinking manipulate the living and ghost with your apparent innocent naivety, but I like that one better.
Oh.
Yes. Well, yeah, and Warren, like, like this bunny head is really just not doing it for him, for them.
So you already have like 2 tokens. Do you want to use this ghostly ability with uncanny grays, or do you want to use this ghostly ability with consequence?
Let's just keep getting tokens so that I can spend them in a
Sure, of
big
course.
thing. So yeah, I'll do the with great consequence.
Awesome. So I think when you ask for something cool, Beatrix goes, "Ooh, I think, yeah, I saw something," and so Beatrix floats upwards, and then there's a section on top of the parlor where you can tell like there's a storage section, and like Beatrix opens it up and it starts like pulling out things like I saw something, and so Beatrix pulls out this like gorgeous, absolutely stunning, super cool outfit. Like it's kind of I think it's sort of like this, because you said like how much the grunge was more comfortable for you. Like what do you think is more belladonna in this moment? Like I'm thinking something 90s alternative cool, but what do you think?
Yes.
Right? Like there are harnesses involved and stuff. Very cool. And so Beatrix like pulls at it and pulls it down, and you can feel the magic of the haunt like pull itself towards Beatrix. Because even though the outfit's like meant for a full person, as Beatrix pulls it towards you, it shrinks into perfectly the size that you are now, right?
Why do you
And
have that power and I can sing songs? But
Beatrix
that's
goes,
really
"Oh."
cool.
Beatrix says, "Oh no, it's not me." And then Beatrix, "Remember, that's what the house can do that to us sometimes, right?" But like, and then we go, shh, shh. Like, but the unspoken secret is like the other ghost, the last family couldn't do it. So, um,
Ah.
right. But Beatrix is very happy to take advantage of the haunt's magic for you and gives it to you. But the consequences, as that happens, you can see like the whole time that Beatrix is like pulling out stuff from that area of the parlor, there was like a sword that was moving closer and closer to the edge. It like clatters down into the ground, and the party stops. You can see like all the clothes in midair just like stop for a moment, and then you can hear, "Who dares touches my sword, the sword of the Dread Queen?" And all the ghosts just go meep, and the clothes just drop onto the floor as all the ghosts disappear. And Calypso, you notice like the Tower Reader looks at you and goes, "Oh, no, not the Dread Sword Queen." And then he drops the tarot cards, and all the cards turn into the Queen of Swords over and over again, like different variations of the Queen of Swords, dueling with people and challenging people again and again. And the Tower Reader looks at you, Calypso. We have to do something. We have to. Oh, she'll be here any moment. Oh, and when he appears, oh no. Oh. But oh, the Sword Queen. He's a feisty one. He's a and you can see like he's really starting to panic, right? So,
Okay.
Calypso, what do you do?
I want to touch the tarot reader and see into their heart, which is one of my ghostly abilities.
So, because you have the 1 token, I assume that you want to do it with great consequence, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you touch him and you see into his heart, you can actually see more of his memory than he can, right? So the memory that he described earlier when he was talking to his beloved, right? You see the 2 of them like holding hands, looking into each other's eyes, but you hear a voice, and it sounds very much like the Sword Queen saying like, "The 2 of you, I will never allow you to be together, not with my son," right? And you see the Tower Reader turn and say like, but I but I love him, and he loves me. And the Dread Queen says, it is not love that will keep you together, not in this world, right? It is only strength, and I do not see that in you. And the consequence is that when you take this memory, you start to feel like that memory is drawing the Sword Queen closer and closer into the room, into the parlor, right? And you can see her starting to form, right?
Okay. Well, okay. So then I'm going to, so because of the memory, I can see like the prince that the tarot reader was in love with, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to use my ghostly ability to take on the form of any being that I see to turn into the prince.
Oh, dang.
And then,
So good.
and then I want to do, I want to reach out to the tarot reader as the prince and say, you are strong enough. We can do this. And I want to whisper a kind truth as a vulnerable move. Would that work?
Oh, nice, nice, nice. I'm so amazed at how Jesse's just comboing left to right, all these different moves. Perfect, perfect. And so when you reach out and do that, you see the tarot reader, he looks a little shocked and he says, Daniel, I've been waiting for, you're right. I can do this. And like he stands up. And so for the first time, everyone can see the tarot reader, not just Calypso, right? And he throws off the fake cape, right? He takes off his hat, right? And he's about to take off his glasses. He says, no, I won't be able to see anything. Puts them back on. And he says, yes, I can. And so he turns towards where the Dread Sword Queen is starting to form. It's like, I am strong. Love makes me strong. My love for Daniel will see me through. I accept your duel, Sword Queen. Right. And then so that's when the Sword Queen starts to form. You can see like he has long, flowing blonde hair. You can see the white dress shirt start to form, and the sword that like clattered onto the ground like starts to float up. Right. And the Sword Queen grabs it. And the Sword Queen looks at him and says, no, it is not you that I want to duel. Instead, you has the touch of heaven about you. And the Sword Queen turns to look at Doc. And yeah, so Doc, what do you do?
Well, that changes my plan. I don't have a plan as a support character.
Would you like us to change this a bit?
I don't know. I'm also like, I'm always curious. Now I'm like, I don't know. I did like ADHD wise, I'm like, I already built like 5 stories, but this wasn't coming. So now I'm like, oh, my ADHD is like, oh, what about this one? I can't not. So let's go through it. Let me see.
Ooh, and since I'm asking you to deal with a problem of the parlor, who is the Sword Queen, go ahead and pick up a token for it.
Okay. I might need it. Let's see. So, okay, so I'll flip things around. So, Doc, kind of has this moment, and just as a ghostly ability at the sort of being brought into attention, fills the room with otherworldly light. And you also see it kind of amplifying because now there's the connection to the little town. So the little town behind Doc like glows, and Doc glows, and it's just like lots of glowy and bright, and maybe it's almost too bright to look at, even for ghosts. And then and Doc's kind of has like a confused, narrowed brow, and is kind of looking, and feels like there's some sort of transformation going on, like a little bit Beauty and the Beast-ish. And, uh all of a sudden sort of like notices next to the curio cabinet another item, another like large sword that maybe looked fairly mundane and dirty. But as Doc reaches out in this new, more like defined male human form, I want to touch the sword, and in doing so find something holy, and it's basically kind of like a King Arthur sword thing, and so let me know if this conflicts with any narrative stuff, but basically Doc has transformed into the same image of the prince, but with a little bit more detail than perhaps our faceless friend Calypso has. I just want to check in. I don't want to take over too much at once, so I want to check in and see if the room has anything, anyone else wants to react.
Actually, can I look at the queen and say, oh, and again, I still look like her son, the prince. But, oh, you think you have power. You pretend you do, but you really have nothing. As be cold and inhuman, cruel and distant.
Excellent, excellent. Go ahead and pick up a token. Perfect. I kind of like the idea that there are two suns, right? Like on display. Yeah, I really like that. So I wanted to quickly ask, Doc, so are you using these ghostly abilities with great consequence, or with a blessed touch?
I was gonna use it as just like, because I had 3 tokens, so I was just gonna go ahead and use 2 and just use the strong move as is.
Yeah, excellent.
But I was like, I always like complications too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you want to use because you have to spend 2 tokens in order to do the strong move. So we can definitely say you find something holy and describe what it does as a strong move, but we can use your ghostly ability. I think because you fill the room with an otherworldly light, the consequence is very simple. I think the consequence is that the room opens up, and I think, Doc, you can feel like behind you as you take on this form, right, of the prince. You can feel the prince, the original son. You can feel his thoughts in your head, and he says, I loved him so much. I loved him more than anything, but I didn't believe in him. I didn't think he'd be strong enough, but look at him now. And you can feel his sadness just like holding and clutching onto your heart. And you can see like the tower reader, like this poor guy just like stepping forward, just being like, yeah, I could do this. And he says, why didn't I believe in him? Why didn't I give him that chance? And you can feel like he feels like he's messed this up and there's no way that he can fix this.
I'm verklempt and I have little I have lots of arm hair, so it's standing up on end right now. I love this. So as the prince form, I step over to the tarot reader, who's like, you know, trying to believe in himself, and that sword that I had picked up that is now gone from this like rusty old seemingly useless item to this like, you know, newly polished, bejeweled royal sword. And I sort of I pass by Calypso and do like the dude bro, like we got the, and I like put like the arm and on the shoulder and I'm like, yeah. And and then I move on to the tarot reader, and I sort of hold his other shoulder and slowly put the sword in his hand. And then, you know, kind of like when you're teaching somebody to golf, I just like make sure his hands are on the sword properly, and sort of just like give a little tight squeeze. And I sort of make sure that he's squared and has some proper positioning to be able for that initial fight stance. And in the voice of the prince, I kind of just like release myself to the soul of the prince, and let him say, you know, I I thought I didn't believe in you, and I thought, you know, I just didn't want you I didn't want to give you a chance, but really I was scared. I was scared to lose you forever instead of just to be apart. And but now we have a chance to be together forever. You can do this. And kind of gives like one more reassuring little squeeze, and steps back alongside the Calypso prince, and just does like the you got this. um Maybe not
Excellent.
exactly as I did, but
Oh, I think exactly like you did is perfect though. So yeah, so Calypso, I just want to double check, you told a terrible, like cruel truth to the Sword Queen. And just so that I remember, it was, you think that you know the truth? Is that it?
You 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 think you know that you are not really strong.
Yeah, and I think when you say that, you can hear something break, right? And you can tell that it's the Sword Queen's heart, and he looks at you, and you can hear it just in your head, right? Just on the edge of your hearing, you can hear the Sword Queen say, "Then I will take his strength and make it my own." Right? And you see the Sword Queen like draw his sword out and aim it towards the Tower Beater. And I think that's where we're going to take our break, and we'll see what happens when we come back. Yeah, so we're back. Thank you so much, Elle, for waiting. I can't resist a good cliffhanger, so there we go. All right, so we are back. And so we are in the parlor that is filled with an otherworldly light that our returned has brought into it. And so we see not one, but two princes behind our tarot reader who has thrown off his regalia, kept his glasses on, right? And we see his hair streaming in this otherworldly wind and light, and he's holding on to the sword that Doc gave him, and he's facing the dread Sword Queen head on. But and we can hear, like, with every clash of the sword, like, I want to stress, like, Calypso, you can hear it over and over again, like the Sword Queen's heart just breaking again and again and again, right? Every time that he moves forward. The dread Sword Queen is incredibly powerful, but you can tell, like, all of this anger comes from this truly, truly terrible place. And so actually when that happens, I'm going to say, like, Beatrix, like, comes up to you, Calypso, and says, I can feel it, right? And you can see Beatrix, like, holding out one of their hands. And so Beatrix is using a vulnerable move, reach out and hold another's pain as your own. And Beatrix says, he's just so full of all he wanted to do was protect. All he wanted to do was take care of Daniel, and but it's turned into so much anger. It's turned into so much fear. But I know he can do it, Calypso. I know that he can win, but I'm worried that what will this do to the Sword Queen? And exactly as Beatrix says that, you can see, like, the tarot reader, like, lunges, and this is, like, a very risky move, right? You can see he throws himself, right? And you can see, like, whispered on his lips is Daniel's name as he, like, throws the sword upwards, catches the Sword Queen off guard, right? And there's a as the swords clash against each other, there are sparks, and the tarot reader's, like, sword goes up against the Sword Queen's neck, right? And you can feel that anger building up in the Sword Queen, like he's going to do something desperate. But the tarot reader has won, and he's about to, you can see his compassion overcoming him. He's about to pull away, giving the Sword Queen an opening, right? So Calypso, what do you do?
So I have 4 tokens. So I'm going to do 2 strong moves. One is to create a perfect mirror copy of myself. So now there's 3 princes. And then I'm going to become physical and real for now and get between them as the prince.
Oh, nice, nice. And so when you do that, the Sword Queen looks at you, and they say, "What? No, everything I'm doing is for you. It didn't have to be like this."
It was never for me. It was for you.
And
which is a neutral move to stumble through words, revealing nothing.
oh, beautiful, beautiful. And I think the Sword Queen stops and looks at you and looks at the tarot reader, and they say, "Is this truly love? What you both share? Would you be willing to die for it?"
Okay. I'm gonna be cold and cruel again. You've never known what love is.
I think at that, like, we hear the last of the Sword Queen's heart shatter, and abruptly they disappear, right? and we can feel like they pull in the light with them when that happens. And our tarot reader turns to you, and for a moment it's like, oh wait, but there are three. And he's trying to figure out like who do I reach out like, and hold. And like at that moment, right before he throws his arms around you, Calypso, that's when the door opens on the other side of the parlor, and you can hear the prince's voice saying, Edmund, are you in here? I thought I heard something. And then Edmund turns around, and that's when you see like everything in the parlor starts to fall away. I'm going to use the once every session move that the parlor has, unspool time and allow the threads to fall where they may. Describe a celebration from long ago and the shades of joy and heartbreak we'll see. And we see Daniel turn around and say, we're going to announce our engagement, aren't we? And you can see Edmund, like the time just like falls away from him and he becomes his younger self. And he stands up and he says, of course, what about your mother? What will they say? And you can see Daniel walk in and say, it doesn't matter as long as we say the truth. She'll probably say something silly like, would you be willing to die for love? But I'm not interested in dying. I'm only interested in living with you. And so I'm going to ask someone. I want to ask a kitty cat, because we haven't heard from a cat in a while. How does time fragment within us as the scene is unfolding, right? As time is coming undone. How does time fragment within us?
Ooh. I don't know how to interpret that.
Yeah, like I guess, is there a bigger definition of time fragmenting? I'm just curious as part of the mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just me as a designer making up words. So but yeah, like for example, do you want it to like, it can reveal parts of our past, it can reveal parts of our future in the haunt, like as futures as ghosts have it, right? And so we could see bits of our own past also here in the parlor, but it can be anything you like, completely up to your interpretation, small or big.
Okay. So I think that we're all experiencing bits of our own past.
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead and take a token for giving that answer. I think what I would love to like end the scene in the parlor is like we all have one moment when we see a bit of our past, right? And it's up to you if that means a past within the haunt or a past when you were alive before you died, right? And so I'll go first as Beatrix so that everybody has a little more time to think about this. And I think what we see of Beatrix's past is I think it's this very strange moment when we see the same plastic bag, that same transparent plastic bag that's around Beatrix's head, now that they're a ghost, except now Beatrix, very much alive, is in the supermarket holding those grocery bags, right? It's the same kind of plastic bag. And then on the radio, we can hear, I want to know what love is, like playing off in the distance. Beatrix rolls their eyes and turns towards someone who, even like, I want to stress, we don't see exactly what this person looks like. We only see an edge of them, but we can tell it's Belladonna outside of Belladonna's doll form. And Beatrix goes, oh my gosh, that song, it's so terrible, but I just love it so much. And we see Beatrix like grab onto who we assume. I think like I want to ask Belladonna, how is it this little glimpse we see of this other person? How do we know it's you outside of your doll form?
I think that maybe this she has the same eyes that I do somehow. You can just see there's something like the eyes somehow have translated.
So good. Yeah, we just see like a flash, like very close, but we don't see the rest of the face, right? We can't see what's going on. Yeah,
But this
perfect.
person seems a lot happier.
Awesome. And I think Beatrix turns to you and says, "So, want to see me shoplift?" And then rushes down the corridors to like steal something. And so and next I want to see a bit of our past from let's ask Eleanor or Kitty. I always have a different voice when I talk to the cats. Anyway, go on.
I
My
have
cat
different
parent is showing.
So, quick question. Are these memories like, are we all together in the same place, or are we all having completely separate memories from different?
Oh yeah, this is like a Netflix show where like we're just like cutting between. So if you want it to be in the same place in the supermarket, you can do it. But if you want it to be a completely different place and time, you know, just feel free, right? I just wanted to drag in Belladonna for some mystery.
So I am taken back to like, it's got to be a barn because there's hay and different things, and it's when I was a baby, and so the mama cat is there, and then all of my little siblings, and I can feel their warmth of their fur, and I just feel so like happiness. And then as like I'm looking up, and there's this big tall giant human, and she's like an older lady, and I can't really make out like a lot of details except for silver hair, and I know that she's mine.
Oh, so good, so good. I'd love to see, what does Calypso experience of the past?
So, Calypso's memories aren't really seen. It's mostly dark, maybe some movement, but nothing seen. But there's sound, there's smell, and they're not sure exactly where they are, but it's warm. It feels safe. It smells like home, whatever home is. And there's a song. The melody is not quite there. You can all they can almost figure it out, but it's just the tuneless notes of a song that they think is a lullaby.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, that's the warmth infuses the scene. I think that'd be a good opportunity to see the past or how time fragments for Doc.
So for Doc, it's very bizarre. Like from all this light that Doc's emitting, it goes into a lot of darkness, and then it almost feels like this weird Kafka-esque moment where Doc feels much smaller than before, and kind of looking around, and everything's grown quite large comparatively, and Doc kind of sees a little light like at the end of the tunnel and starts to go towards that, and as Doc sticks his head out, he starts to hear a noise, kind of like a faint sort of sniffling and trying to get your breath, and then slowly recognizes that this is a very young person crying. And as Doc sort of hurries over to inspect and you can kind of see, or you can't see, but you can kind of hear the voice of the sibling being like, don't go over there. And Doc makes his way to this young crying person and sort of just kind of like keeps sort of looking up and sort of sniffing around and listening. And you can see that if Belladonna's, if this matches for what you're experiencing, otherwise we can rewrite. But you see what looks like a much younger face of the Belladonna that we saw that was being instigated to shoplift. And, because we are best friends forever. So I remember just kind of noticing a hand and holding that hand that, even though it was a small child, was much larger than my own. And that's the fragment of my memory.
Wait, let me get this straight. Okay. Sorry. So Belladonna has been spotted in a grocery store and about to steal stuff. And was Belladonna the little hand or the big hand with Doc?
For my memory, it's much younger than that instance. So
Okay.
it's like aged back, you're probably much younger, maybe like only like 5 or 6.
And are you older? Or are you the same age?
I'm actually probably technically younger, but it kind of depends on how you count things.
Oh my goodness. Guys.
So much mystery, so much time shenanigans. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, and I think seeing, I kind of like the idea, like we flash through all of those memories, right, over and over again until they start to fade. And I think that'd be a nice place to end the scene in the parlor if everybody's okay with that, right?
Yeah, I didn't have a
Oh, wait.
memory
Sorry.
of my
That's right.
own.
I'm so sorry.
But
No,
it's
that's right,
okay.
because you showed up in 2, and so my brain fits. No. We can have your memory before we end the scene. What do we see of from Belladonna's perspective?
Ah, man, this is crazy. I had a couple ideas and now I'm just like, I don't. So the one that is speaking to me is that it's very brief. Belladonna is looking at a ceiling. She's much older than in either of your scenes. She doesn't recognize anyone in it. And she hears a voice saying, there's very bright lights, and there's a voice saying, okay, count backwards from 100. And then something goes over her mouth, and then her eyes kind of flutter shut. That's the whole scene. She does remember hearing a beeping sound, and she feels anxious.
Ooh, I like that. That makes sense. And then every time there's a beep, it's another memory. Beep, and then we go through each one, right?
Ooh,
Until we come back to that moment. Ah, so good. Excellent.
I just got
All
shivers.
right. So that's the end of our first scene. So yeah, so as the parlor, you can see like I took on a more active GM role just because that's what I'm comfortable in. But when it's your turn to be the room, you can act as the room as little as you like, and you can act more like your character. It's totally fine. There's no wrong way to play our haunt. Basically, it's just whatever is fun for you is how it goes. So with that in mind, looking at our next scene, who would we like to be in the scene, right? Like considering the scene that we just played in. I don't mind Beatrix just being a supporting character in this next scene. I'm very comfortable with that. But how about everybody else? Like, who would like to be in the scene?
I would like to be a bit more active in the scene.
Yeah, we can have Eleanor be more of a main character, like have the spotlight on Eleanor this time. And Belladonna too, right? If people, because we kind of got to see Calypso and Doc shine in the last scene, if everybody is okay with that idea. So yeah.
I was going to request Eleanor to be on stage. That's fine.
Excellent. So with Eleanor and Belladonna being, but the rest of us will be there, right? As much as we like. So where is the scene taking place? Like, Eleanor, where would you like to hang out, right? Because I mean, you are most at home in the garden, but you know that you can hang out in any part of the haunt. There's the study, there's the lost room, there's the attic. A cat in an attic. Oh my gosh. My cat parent is starting to, which might mean it's perfect, but you know, what do you feel like doing?
Yeah, is anyone really feeling like playing their room?
Mhm.
Like,
I could do the study. I feel comfortable both being a room and being characters or supporting my character or supporting characters. Or you know, and but I'm also happy if anyone else wants to jump in and do that.
yeah, I think that'd be great.
I think that's a great place for both of them. So
Okay, doke. So and hopefully with some help from our game designer to keep
Oh
me.
yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm here, but you're gonna do a great job. No worries. Yeah, so it's gonna take place in the study. We're gonna have our Eleanor and Belladonna. The rest of us, I think we're all going to be there. Because usually for the first session of these games, everyone has fun feeling out their characters right before we feel out the supporting ones. Yeah, and aside from that, let's see, what's the scene about maybe? Like, what is Eleanor up to? Eleanor and Belladonna, what are they up to in the study? Are you looking for something? Are you just hanging? Right? So just an idea for the study. This is a place where
Should I
you
describe it?
can. Oh yeah,
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
We can
I was
do
like,
that.
yeah.
We can do that.
Well, and
Go ahead,
that
go
gives
ahead.
people time to think about what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Study. Memories trapped between words on faded pages. What is left in dark cloak secret remains here in the study. Between the books, shadows whisper and eyes peer through. A mysterious book lies open, waiting for someone to read it. It is here where time is collected and marked, where memories bleed letters and ink. The study has dried flowers lovingly placed in secret places for us to find. It has huge chairs that we can lose ourselves in, covered in musty coats and scarves. It also has some flickering candles that twist the shadows unpredictably. The unsolvable problems in the study are an innocent but dangerous psychic who lives here and insists on becoming friends with us. And a book titled Our Haunt writes out our existence here, but with strange inconsistencies. And then in the study, I can ask someone to pick a book and read it out loud to us, or to write in their diary, or to reveal a secret they find, or for someone to perform a play, poem, or speech that they find in the study. And everyone who does the same to put on a grand show gains a token. I can also ask someone to deal with a problem in the study.
All right.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you want to go, Belladonna?
Well, I have an idea that involves you.
Awesome. Yeah.
Being so small, I sometimes need help, and cats love knocking things off of shelves. And so I'm wondering, um, Eleanor, would you help me find some books?
I absolutely will. I kind of like nuzzle against your face. I know you might not like it, but I still do it anyways.
So
And
big.
and so I think that's a token for a vulnerable move for me.
Ooh.
Nice, nice. Also, I have changed my mind. I will play Beatrix in the scene. I'll be Dogzilla. So
Yes, yeah.
So I think there's a moment where the door slams open like when a dog throws it open, except the door opens, but the dog comes through the wall, right? As a ghost. So like clambers into the study. Where's everybody? What's up?
Wonderful.
And is the Menti kitten still alive, or is it also a ghost?
She is still alive, yes. And she is curled up on the desk in the study.
And is that a character you want to have more control over, or is that something that I could take from there?
You can definitely
okay.
take, yeah.
Okay. So where is the kitten curled up again? Sorry.
I was thinking on the desk, like, you know how there's an open book?
Like a writer's desk or something with the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she decided that she's going to lay all up over that book so no one can read it at the moment.
Sounds about right. Okay. So Belladonna and Eleanor are in the study trying to find a book. Belladonna, what book are you looking for? How are you trying to communicate that with Eleanor?
I'm just talking to Eleanor. I'm probably trying to appear innocent and naive to get the cat's help. Because why not? Even though the cat probably would do it, even if I just asked. But I think I'm trying to find anything that might tell me what I saw in my memory with the lights and the beeping, and I don't know, there were people in white clothes and blue clothes. I don't know. Does that sound like anything to you?
Eleanor?
Well,
Yeah.
Anyone?
I look at the books, and any books that I see like creepy dolls on, or like get the sense of beeping, and what I'm just like I'm just throwing them onto the floor. They don't hit you, don't worry.
Oh yeah, I was ready for this.
So we can look and see if
Okay.
there are any applicable books.
Yeah. So like I'm just thinking like these books are so big and I am so small. And so I want to use I would like to change my body in a spooky manner for 2 tokens. And can I just so like I guess I'm just going to try to get like I don't know, make my arms longer so I can like flip the pages better or something. I just need to be able to manage these books a little bit better. And I mean, could the dog help maybe? Like Dogzilla?
Yeah. I think the dog bounds over it. It's kind of like from your perspective, bound, like things are moving around a little. Like it's a Dogzilla is the kind of dog that is convinced that they're a lap dog, right? When that is incredibly not the case, right?
Yeah.
So they think they're a much smaller dog, right? They think they're Chihuahua sized, but that's not the case. Anyway, but they come over and they bound over. They're like, ooh, and then they like sort of like do this like cartoon dog thing where they like pick you up by the back of the dress and then throw you onto their back, like I'm helping, I am your mount, I am your proud mount, right? And they had that face.
Yeah. Okay. You're doing great, Dogzilla. Can you like bring me to like the desk or a chair or something so that I can just climb up? Like I need a comfy spot for these books.
Oh, and then Dogzilla like comes over and does that thing where they just leap towards the desk and then land like splat on it, like legs splayed out on desk. Good job, me.
Okay. Thank Thank you. And I'm gonna slide off with my book and give an apologetic glance to the kitten.
Yeah, the
And-
kitten is like, what the and like has like you see like the tail is like poofed out and there's a little bit like the little bit of hair between the shoulders is really unsure what to do, and so the kitten is just like kind of slowly getting up and like going backwards and maybe not noticing the edge of the desk and kind of slips and
no.
hang on and grabs in with the claws, and so the claws just like go down the side of the desk as the cat slowly lowers to the floor.
I
Yeah.
have to run over and check on baby Scotch, the kitten.
I'm going to like refract light like a disco ball so that you have light for the books. You mentioned light.
I love it.
So I'm gonna like try to flip through the book and like what do I like? I feel like this book isn't really what I'm thinking of, but I'm wondering if it has anything good in it. Anyways,
Like just what kind of book is it?
so
So
Eleanor found.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I imagine it's like it's dusty, it's big, it's like leather bound. But Eleanor was looking for a book that she sensed beeping and lights from. So it could be about cars. for all I know.
Or
Um,
sleeping.
And as you flip through the book, you find a photograph in the book that reveals a secret. So what secret have you found? That's one of my study moves.
Ooh. The secret that I found is
So smooth. Good job. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The secret that I found is I have to show this to Beatrix. This is definitely related to like the other ghosts that were here and they're not here anymore and we don't remember why. Oh, I'm gonna need to talk to Beatrix. So I'm gonna take the photo and before anyone can like see it, I'm gonna try to like crumple it up and somehow fit it into like my dress or pants or something. Like, but someone might have seen it before I tried to hide it.
So does anyone glance the photo before it's hidden properly? Or is everybody distracted with something else?
Definitely distracted.
Okay, well distracted.
I'm wondering, and
so
you can say,
oh,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm just kind of wondering if an innocent but dangerous psychic sees it. Or hide it.
So thank you. So the yes, so the she doesn't see it, but she sees it, if you know what I mean. So as you go to fold it into your whatever little area in your doll clothing you're able to find, maybe I don't know, I always used to hide things in the sleeves of doll clothing.
That is good. That's good.
But the psychic, like as you're folding it up, like the psychic suddenly is like sitting there like trying to intuit people, and like she's one of those people that you know always wanted to be psychic and just keeps trying to put herself into situations, so just like desperately hoping it'll happen. And as you're folding this photo or crumpling it up, the more you crumple it, the more it seems like she's like seeing things with her eyes closed, and like she's like oh, and so she with that, so here's a question. So far, well, I'll take some control as the study. So far, our psychic hasn't been able to intuit, and as soon as she sees this photo, all of a sudden her head turns straight to Belladonna, and she just opens her eyes, and suddenly she sees you, and she just screams. And at first, it's like terror scream, but then it turns into like screaming, like laughter and like joy. And she's like, it's you, you're, oh my goodness, it's you. And she runs over and maybe not quite consensually, just caught up in the excitement, kind of lifts you up by your little like just under your little doll arms, and is like, this is so amazing. And then she's kind of wandering around the room, and then she kind of realizes what she's done, and that you're like a person, even though you're also a creepy doll, and just goes and like looks for a place to put you down, and like nestles you down into a chair, and just like sort of tries to make sure that you're comfortable before going to be like, she doesn't go to like the farthest chair, but like enough that like maybe she's given you space to feel comfortable. And she's like, oh, please tell me more. Like, what was that wonderful photograph?
So I don't know what's going on, but as the cat, that scream was really jarring, and I got really scared, and I have puffed out. And as you like made the psychic made sure that Belladonna was sitting in the chair, but I was also very worried, and I leap up onto the psychic, and I'm like a cat on top of the psychic's head, like, ah!
And I'm gonna say that like the little mentee kitten just like was so overjoyed to see you around the corner that the little mentee is just sort of like following your lead, and now that you're there to lead the charge as the bigger kitten, has like gained a lot of confidence. So like while you're leaping also out of fright, the little kitten is like the little I don't know, like Looney Tunes, like and is like down by the psychic's ankles, like just like clawing, or like, and so yeah, so you're on the psychic's head?
Yes, I'm on the
Okay.
psychic's head.
Okay, do you have like, are you like standing on the shoulders grabbing the head, or like what kind of action are you doing on the psychic's head?
My hind legs are down here, and my front paws are like
Just like clawed in.
yeah, grabbing on.
So as the psychic places the Belladonna down, and I think she realized she might have disturbed some sort of spirits, and so that was a good like sign that she should put the doll down. And so like she's kind of like putting her arms up like, I'm not hurting anybody, and just kind of like slowly, as she's sitting down, like try to maybe gently lift a claw, or like half like cover her face so she doesn't get swatted. And so like is sitting down but leaning over and trying to figure out how to uninstall the cat that has been installed on her forehead.
So I see all this, and I'm also a little freaked out, but I am going to sing a song that will create calm, because I am confused and I need to know what's happening. And I'm also going to try to reach out and take care of another. I'm not certain who needs it. I think it's Eleanor and the psychic. So I'm going to sing a nice, calming, creepy song and soothe everyone's feelings and say, Eleanor, it's okay. Come here, please. And psychic, can you tell me one of your memories that involves me? Like, why are you so excited to see me?
And so the psychic, it says like, oh, like you, it was you, and it was outside of a grocery store, and there was, and she kind of looks around the room, and then she gives another little shrill joy of glee as she spots Beatrix, and you were there, and but I sensed that I didn't see you, but there was like a thumb in part of the photo, and and it feels very much like, and she sort of reaches out to gently, but like not like grab your arm, but like she's kind of just putting her hands around your arm to inspect, like, should your thumb fit the description that she saw in her mind. and and she goes, yes, like this is the thumb. And so, and she says, and you looked very like kind of like happy but nervous, and it just it felt like it was a very defining moment for you. As who and she like motions for Beatrix to sit down next to Belladonna, and it's like who are you two? Like, how do you? I've always wanted to meet a spirit.
Yeah, and I think when you do that, Beatrix goes, Eleanor, help us. It's just like Beatrix is just sitting with their eyes wide. Eleanor, please.
If
And then
Eleanor
Beatrix
doesn't,
says, "Oh, sorry, go ahead."
I was gonna say, if Eleanor doesn't have something that she could do, I have something, but we'll see.
So Eleanor isn't sure. Are we in danger? Like, does this feel like...
Oh, I think it's more like from Beatrix's perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, a living person wants to talk to me. Ugh. Right? Like, it's that kind of like, this is like extreme social anxiety, right? So Beatrix is like, this is very uncomfortable. So yeah, I don't think it's like outright danger.
Okay.
But definitely yeah, like Beatrix is uncomfortable and very protective of Belladonna, right? Like doesn't want to. We have our secret. Yeah.
So one thing I can do is telepathically reach out to other cats. So I'm going to use 2 tokens to do that, and to ask Little Scotch to please distract the psychic.
Ooh,
and
do you want to bring in other cats? Because you can say that there were all these other cats hiding like nearby that you call out to if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Why? Who would not want more cats? Seriously.
Since Scotch is still part of the living realm, he lets out a little like chitter sound, like a little cat bark, and just like cats start like coming out from all these little places, and they all have like because of all the hidden flowers, some of them have like a little flower in their sort of not well groomed fur, just for aesthetic purposes. And so they just kind of become this blockade that just like overwhelms the psychic. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's totally what I was picturing.
Okay. And so the psychic kind of like stumbles back, like gets up and like stumbles and is like, I'm so sorry. And just kind of ends up sort of knocking backwards into the desk. And when that happens, It's both seems like a effect of her hitting the desk, but also seems like maybe it doesn't line up so much. Maybe it's a little bit of the living breathingness of the room that was like just taking advantage of the moment. And the drawer in the desk pops open, and from that drawer scatter what looks like a diary and a folder full of medical papers that sort of scatter themselves across the ground in your sight.
Fascinating. That's so cool.
So I don't know if Belladonna can quite make out because she's so small and sitting. Can you see the papers?
I think I heard them.
I think
fall out.
it's pretty obvious. It's not like
Okay.
like they like the magic of the room kind of makes it float and
out.
they scatter, and then they like very obviously like slide, like maybe even they're not in your field of vision, and then you see it scooch like a little bit more into your field of vision.
Can I put a spotlight on it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, is there, since you're probably the closest to the desk, is there any, do you react to this in any way?
Like actually yes. So one of my moves is to lose my form and become an object. So if I become the paper and kind of like float it to where Belladonna is so that you can see them better.
I love that.
Okay. So would everyone be okay if we do, it's not quite body horror, but it is related. Like I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your perspective. So
I think I'm okay. I'm prepared.
I know I checked it off, but like
Yeah.
still I just want to check. So the paper floats into my hands and it's like on it, it's definitely like part of my discharge papers. And how like it's from a procedure that I must have had when I was alive. And it has like my real name on it. And it's kind of hard to read, but if I could cry, I would cry. And I'm just I feel very, very small and sad, and but I'm starting to understand a little bit more why I was stuck in this body. Because I had a loss. I had a pretty big loss. And I needed surgery to take care of it. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I feel a little bit closer to understanding why I'm here. And I'm very grateful that all of you have been trying to help me and protect me. And even though I'm not always like the nicest and I can be a little creepy. And
Yeah, and I think when you do that, like Beatrix reaches out, and I have to say, like all around us, the cats are moving, the psychics, but I feel like it's happening in slow motion with no sound far from us, right? While this moment
All
is
been like
happening.
filtered out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, like that dramatic war moment, right? Anyway, so while it's happening, Beatrix reaches out and touches your hand, Belladonna, and I'm going to reach out and hold another's pain as my own, right? And just so that you know that I'm here sharing it with you, that you don't have to hold on to it by yourself. But I don't say anything. I just let you know that I'm here with you.
I'm very grateful.
And I want to pull in Doc for a moment. I know we haven't seen him at all this scene. He's got this thing where he's a little bit freaked out by cats sometimes. So he's been kind of hanging back. But at this point, when he feels the sadness, it sort of to him flashes back to the memory of you as the young girl crying that he came out and held your hand. And so Dot comes back down to the size of a small mammal and sort of comes over your shoulder, and the hand that isn't currently being held, Doc sort of starts to appear as more of this like very white, very nice and friendly and kind-eyed looking rat, and just takes his little paws and one of your little doll fingers and uses a ghostly ability to connect you, the vulnerable being, to your inner light.
Yeah, she feels like things aren't resolved. Like there's still more to discover, but she's just like so grateful that you are all experiencing this with her. And like she feels like maybe there's a purpose behind this. She doesn't feel like it's a punishment anymore.
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's such a wonderful moment to start to wrap the scene around in, or we can, but I kind of want to see one last look at like Eleanor and the cats, right? So at the very least. Right. So while all of this is happening, Eleanor, how are you protecting us and what happens next?
Yeah, Eleanor very much senses the sadness and feels what everybody is feeling around her. And she is also getting like flashes of the person in her vision, and she just knows that it's somehow connected. She doesn't know how, and all of the cats are kind of like calming down, and she sneaks up like by the rat and by Belladonna and like curls around them and like holds them and starts to purr.
And I will say that Doc takes a moment to kind of like check his surroundings, because purring is both a relieving sound and also a dangerous sound for Doc. But he feels the warmth, and as you settle down, you kind of feel a sigh of relief. And as that happens, because he does it, you just see like the light we've seen throughout is just like a little bit of light sort of like beacons out for a second and then calms down with that breath.
Perfect. So just to review, like I felt like the room definitely asked us to deal with the problem of the study, right? I feel like the person who had to deal with the problem most was Eleanor, because I'm sorry, it's Belladonna, because Belladonna was the one who was picked up and like put somewhere. So Belladonna, if you want to take a token for that. Yeah, and I also felt like this is proof of the life we once lived. Was that the move that you were also going for with the room, or was that just?
I think it was just sort of part of it, but I was looking at that from I wasn't thinking of the exact wording, but I was looking at push a book from a shelf and have it land open.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah. It was kind of like a little bit of both, because we had done the flashback, and because it seemed like Belladonna was looking for was specifically looking for answers about the previous life. So.
Yeah, so Belladonna can pick up another token. I'm only suggesting that so in case you want to, for the last bit, I'm very conscious of the time. So I'm thinking we could just get a peek into what usually happens at the end of a session of our haunt, if folks are okay with it. So, but yeah, so like as the as the scene ends, the last bit that we do is we can decide to spend tokens towards someone regaining or creating a memory, right? So that's open in our tab. I think we'll do like a shorter version of it. Usually each time someone spends a token, they describe how they spend time with someone, right? Like a moment of closeness or a moment of happiness. But yeah, because I think we have just enough to maybe, let's see, 5. I took one earlier, so I'm gonna, because I took someone's pain as my own, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, we're just like one token short. Like,
Do we maybe not count everyone's? Like, did we?
No. Oh, that's right.
What great consequence comes from me connecting my vulnerable being to
Belladonna? Oh, yeah, let's do it.
And then we'll
yes,
do that.
Yeah.
Unless Eleanor has something, because I do want to let you get highlighted, but that's an option. So.
Oh no, let's go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, do you have an idea for a consequence? I could offer one if you like.
I feel like offer me one, because otherwise I feel like I have too much control over what my consequences are.
Sure. No worries. Yeah. Doesn't feel true to life. But yeah, I think what I'll offer is because the ability was to like connect a vulnerable being to their inner light. I think what happens is we see this long shadow behind Doc, right? That takes on, and I think the shadow disconnects from you, and it like hides behind the clouder of cats, right, and sneaks off into the haunt.
Oh, we have to play again. We have to.
Right. So yeah, but basically so what happens is we can fill in the would we like to create or would we like to regain a memory, basically. Because if we regain a memory, what happens is one of us like regains like one of the more fragmented memories from when we were still alive, versus if we create a memory, it's sort of like a new memory that happens in the haunt, right? So usually it's a happier and cuter memory, right, of something, of us hanging out in the haunt. What are we more interested in? Like more sad or more less sad? Right? I don't want to guarantee it's not going to be sad, but it'll be less sad, I think, right? And regaining a memory doesn't have to be sad either. I just wrote a lot of these to be kind of evocatively sad. So what do you think?
I was kind of curious because we were like Belladonna was looking for closure. I don't know, is that something you want to, do you feel like you got the closure as that character? Do you feel like you want to recover more memories now, or do you want to feel like maybe leaving that for a future session before? I don't know, that's what's going into my
This was a really busy day. I think like I learned a lot about myself and about some of you guys. I think that we should have a happy memory. Like let's make a memory together.
Yay.
That's true. Right. So I'm going to invest all of my tokens. So I'm going to remove the 4 that I have here and mark it off. 1, 2, 3, 4 towards creating a memory. But yeah, I think it'll fill up, right? And so just to briefly say how Beatrix is having a moment of happiness with at least one of the character. I think Beatrix is completely convinced that she can get this group of cats that Eleanor has met to put on a play, right? And put on a chorus of a song, right? So Beatrix is like using one of her knives as a conductor thing, right? Just to, So I think that's what's happening. It's going very well, obviously, right? There's like a lot of yowling, and everyone appreciates it, of course. So, but yeah, who else would like to put in their tokens?
And how many do we need? A certain number of tokens, or all?
Oh, it's just up to you. Yeah. As many as you would like. I think, though, transparency's sake, I think if we all put in our tokens, we'll have enough to unlock a memory. But yeah, but even there you go. I don't want to overtalk it.
Yeah. Since I used up most of my tokens earlier, I have one token and I will put it into creating a memory.
And I have 2 once I added the consequence, so I will add that into making a memory.
And I can throw in mine as well. And I have 3 right now.
I'll add my 5.
Nice. All right, so I think that's enough, right? Me and math, like, doesn't matter how simple the math is.
It's sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so now that the memory has been created, all of us decide who gets the memory. So it could be any one of us, right? It's just that we all collectively agree who should be able to unlock it. So who do we think?
I think I have this theory now, a mind canon, where something that connects all of us is maybe that somehow Belladonna came into everyone's life, or we all came into each other's lives when we were alive. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about Jesse's character, but I don't because we know so little.
About Calypso.
Yeah, Calypso. Thank you.
Yeah. So Jesse as Calypso, why don't you pick one of the new memories that you want to create with all of us?
Ooh, I like this one. So I'm going to pick. We created a new clock together, a better way of telling time as we experience it. How does it tell time?
Yeah, and we all just take turns making the memory together. So, yeah, nice. How does it tell time? That's very cool. Am I allowed to say that? I wrote that, but anyway, so it feels very self-serving when I say that. Anyway, but yeah, what do we think?
So I'm looking through the forms and stuff. So how does it tell time? Let's see. So we're making a clock together.
Yeah, I think
I'll
okay,
offer... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just recap. So it's a better way of telling time as we experience it.
Right. And we did see that today, right?
Okay.
Like the way time fragmented,
Mm-hmm.
and things are not linear. I'm going to say like what Beatrix does is they remove the numbers that were on the clock. I think we found an old grandfather clock, and then Beatrix like takes off the numbers and says, "Oh, numbers don't work," right? And instead starts drawing like sensations and emotions on the clock. That's where the numbers used to be. So like draws in anger and then puts in a cat face and then like, but yeah, but how about everybody else?
I think what Calypso will do to the grandfather clock is mess with the gears so that instead of ticking at like 1 second per second, it switches up. So sometimes it goes faster, sometimes it goes slower, and we never quite know, but that's how time goes.
Perfect.
And I'm just so Doc is going to add another dimension. So the things that sort of hang from the grandfather clock. So Doc's gonna run up that, and as he's sort of tooling around with them, he's you keep hearing these sounds that sound like hickory dickory, hickory dickory. And then as Doc runs down the clock, you notice that the things that hang from the clock have this effect where they both can either glow or dim and become really solid or really like transparent and almost non-existent. So it gets to measure sort of like spirituality and then the connection to the living world or not.
That's so cool.
So Eleanor is really captivated by smell. And so she's infusing each picture that Beatrix is creating with smells that she knows in particular from the garden. And so when we hit certain feelings or times, or are they the same thing? We also smell something sweet, something floral. They're different.
That's so cool. Aw.
And Belladonna is informed by her little doll friend Warren that Warren would like to live somewhere besides the creepy doll that I have made for it. And so I'm going to open up the glass case and I'm going to unscrew the head and let Warren into the grandfather clock. And Warren lets us know every once in a while when something's about to happen or did happen. It's very confusing. But Warren is a lot happier.
I love that so much. Perfect, perfect. And so we have created a new memory together. We've become a little closer as a family. Thank you so much, everybody. And so, yeah, basically, that is our haunt, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for playing. Yeah.
That was like real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
letting us play.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh my gosh, everybody was power gaming beautifully with your moves. I'm so amazed. Like everybody was fantastic. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for letting us have this chance with you. Yeah,
And
I
making
can't.
this, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to make a segue and saying making this awesome game that we can all support. When is that Kickstarter happening again?
Oh yeah, so it's happening on October 12th, right? Really, really soon. It's my tomorrow, but I live in the future, so technically like 2 days from now for everybody else. Because I
Yeah.
live in the Philippines. I should note that I live in the Philippines. Sorry, I should be more clear.
Extra thank you for the time dealing with the time difference because I have friends in the
Oh.
Philippines too. So
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. No worries. I'm super used to it. But yeah, I did set like 6 different alarms because I was a little worried about not waking up in time. But it was super worth it. So but
Yeah.
yeah, I think we have like a goodbye ritual, if that's right. Like
Yep. So we have a goodbye ritual where first we say our character's name and everyone says goodbye to them. And then we say our name and I think that we say goodbye as well, but we also have questions. So maybe we say hello again. I don't know. And then we'll have some questions to debrief afterwards. And if people are okay with it, we can do our goodbye ritual in the order that we started, I think, if people remember that. We can popcorn too.
I'm good. I was last.
Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I
So
was just referring to the chat. So because
yeah,
you wrote it down very helpfully what the order is.
would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my character's name, their name is Beatrix.
Good night,
Good
Beatrix.
night,
Good night,
Beatrix.
Beatrix.
And then you say your name.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And my name is
Okay.
Jamie. Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Hi,
Jimmy.
Hi, Jamie.
Jamie.
I played Belladonna,
Good night,
Good
Belladonna.
night,
Good night,
Belladonna.
Belladonna.
and I am Hallie.
Hi,
Hi,
Hallie.
Hallie.
All right, I played Eleanor.
Good night,
Good night,
Eleanor.
Eleanor. Good night.
And I am Maggie.
Hi,
Hello,
Maggie.
I played Calypso,
Good night,
Good
night,
Calypso.
Good night,
Calypso.
Calypso.
and I'm Jessie.
Hey,
Hi,
Jessie.
Jessie.
Hi, Jessie.
And I played Doc.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Doc.
Doc.
And my name is Nina.
Hey,
Hi,
Nina.
Nina.
Hey, yourself.
So, wow. We have a bunch of questions. Because I am just so grateful that you joined us, Jamie. Like, I would like to start with the game designer specific questions, if that's possible. Like, I just know,
Totally cool with it.
I just think that I just want to hear all your words. So why make a queer themed game? And what was your thought process? Or no, we had to start with the first one. Sorry, everyone. So we are here to play queer games. So how is this game queer? And we'll answer that, and then we'll go down there because it makes more sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so oh sorry, my brain just fritzed out for a moment. Is how is the game queer? Is that right?
Yeah, anyone can
Yeah.
offer to answer, or yeah, whoever's ready.
So I think that it was interesting to me as I was getting started because so much of this is improvised, and as I was trying to like hint at more of my character's true identity, I realized that I was like, oh, oh, don't go there, you're not supposed to be doing that, like speaks to a lot of the experience of being queer. And I also think that for anyone that has grown up in a situation being queer where it wasn't fully understood or wasn't fully accepted, there's a lot of baggage that can hang with that, a lot of unresolved things. And there's was so much with this ghosty stuff that like we all just like immediately gravitated to wanting to resolve the things that were left unresolved. And so I think a lot of queerness, like this can be a very healing game for queer individuals who want to act out that closure, even if closure isn't exactly a permanent thing.
Thank you, Nina. Did anyone else have something that they would like to say about how they feel this game is queer? I can offer something. So I think that the doll, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but I think that the doll it probably would speak a lot to someone who is dealing with their body, specifically their gender identity. For me, because of some stuff that I went through over the last year, I was definitely going in a different direction with it, but I could feel it. So it was like very strong, like this feeling of being unsatisfied and uncomfortable and just really unhappy with your body. And but surrounding yourself, like finding out that like the people around you love you regardless, that they care about you regardless of how you look or how you feel like you should be. And that found family part, I think, was really strong. And so, like, it's just, yeah, the doll is such an, I really enjoyed playing her, and I didn't think I would. Yeah.
Actually, the funny thing is when I wrote the doll first, because this is one of my first games that I wrote a couple of years ago, I still thought I was cis, right? And so it wasn't until I was playing this game and I had my other trans friends go like, "Oh yeah, so the doll is like super trans, right?" And I'm like, "Are they?" And then like I look back at it again and I'm like, so yeah, definitely like the way that the doll was designed was definitely with gender dysphoria in mind in a way that I was not aware of at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
No, I definitely used it to explore a little bit of my body dysmorphia that I've been feeling. Is that the term? Yeah, that I've been feeling it a lot over this last year. Even like putting on this wig today, I was like, whoa. um, like, so like it definitely has multiple ways it can be explored, but I could feel that like the gender non-binary, like exploring that. Even like for me, I've been exploring a lot about my femininity because I am cis, but I've been playing around with like how I express my gender a lot the last year. So thank you.
My character also like really spoke to me in kind of a queer way. So as a cat, like I was different than everybody else. And so that could kind of come out in a lot of different ways for queer people, is feeling that difference, but then also that sense of found family. Yeah, it made me think of queerness in a lot of different ways when playing this game.
Yeah. And like also with my character in playing it, I felt a lot of things around not being able to fully be and express who you are, even though you're so in tune with everyone else because of what you're hiding. And it's just like, oh, I'm just so in tune. I know what everyone else is dealing with because I don't know what I'm dealing with, and I'm not acknowledging my own things and what is going on deeper with me. And that was, yeah, and that was like the experience of just like kind of being closeted, or like just not fully exploring everything about yourself because of how others might react or respond to it, because you're so aware of what other people are dealing with.
Yeah, that's a really true point. And I think it really speaks to how a lot of the time, right, when queerness comes to play, like there is this expectation that the queer person is should be more open to other people's emotions and should be more understanding and should hide themselves more, right? There's that like um there's that thing, right, that tends to come out with the faceless. But yeah.
I kind of, so a follow-up question to the first one, I think I want to ask, like, was this magical for you guys? Uh, or what was your experience playing as a queer person or queer adjacent person? And like, do you feel like you were able to explore that through this game?
I just want to say the first scene we did, I was like having flashes of Utena, like while
I
we
was
were
exactly drawing on Utena. Thank you.
so, which was, one of the first queer cartoons I'd ever seen in my life, which was introduced to me by a friend of mine who now lives back in the Philippines again after college. And so shout out to Tintin, who's doing some great comics. But so if anyone wants to know, I'll talk about it for days. But we're here to talk about the game. So yeah, like those moments were like super magical was like just like, oh yeah, like let's live this fantasy and let's like all come together to support this relationship that didn't get the chance it deserved. So it was a little bit of the kind of the fanfic community that evolves from the, you know, they those cowards, they didn't make it clear.
No one turned into a car at the end.
Exactly. Best way to. That was the best movie, but yeah. But yeah, I definitely almost always draw upon Utena without thinking about it. So yeah, excellent.
What were for everyone else, what were your magical moments or during this?
I really like that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, I really like that moment when the drawer opened up and then the papers came out and the medical papers were there. I was like, oh, I was just like, so that is so, yeah, this magic mystery. Yeah. I just really like that moment. That was very cool for me how that came together.
Yeah. I mean, a part that was like really magical for me is that Nina and Jamie both like pulled Belladonna into their characters' memories. That blew my mind. 'Cause like, wow, like very surprised. I was like shocked when Beatrix had that memory, but then when Doc had one, like I was like, whoa, like what's happening here?
Yeah, and then when
Like
it ended at the medical procedure, it felt so. Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
I was just like I felt part of me wanted to like pull one of you guys into mine, but I was also like, I don't know, like I feel like she doesn't like those weren't her memories, like they were your memories, and so it was just so cool. I was just impressed with your guys' storytelling.
I do think that it was interesting. I my I don't know if it was stuff that my mom had a few collector dolls, and I think it was more like Chucky came out and I saw it when I was way too young to see like part of it. It wasn't even the whole thing. And all the like 80s puppetry stuff, I was still like super young, and so all those like living doll puppets freaked me out. So that whole thing of, you know, had no thought that Doc would have any connection to the doll at all in this game. I thought Doc was gonna be like, I'm gonna go stand over there and y'all have your fun over there. And just taking that chance on that question at the beginning completely changed everything. I was like, you know, well, if we're best friends, then obviously a memory has to be connected there. And so that, yeah, it all kind of surprised me too.
Yeah. Maggie, did you have any magical moments?
Yeah, for sure. It was well, I think for me it's very much an internal thing. I'm working how to like externalize when it's feeling magical. um because I could like really feel like where my cat was in relation to like everyone else, and even if I wasn't a part of the scene, like I knew what I was doing. And I also in my head know like how I'm connected to Belladonna, and I don't know if that's okay, but and it very much takes in like queerness and then medical stuff too. And so I know we didn't like get to any of that, but just the way everything was unfolding uh, with like the great storytelling that was happening, it all felt very magical. I loved
I have an idea of how they know each other too.
it. Ooh, that's
I
interesting.
wonder if it's the same idea.
Maybe.
I'll have to tune in later for the
Next time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Jesse, were you able to answer?
Not yet. I think honestly, like the magical moment for me was turning into the prince and then making two of myself as the prince so that there were three princes for no reason.
I
And
For
love
all
that so
the
much.
for
Yeah.
all the reasons.
I
mean,
loved that. And that moment when you decided to step in between, and I was like, yes. And I was like, even though I was like Prince number 3, I was just like, I just wanted to see you shine with that moment. And it was fantastic. It was great.
originally I wasn't going to step in between, but I was looking through the moves and I was like, oh, I could do that.
Absolutely amazing. I'm really impressed with how Jesse was like comboing like several moves together to form this like really cool narrative. Super, super awesome.
So now I want to go back to the first question I was asking. Why make a queer themed game? What was your thought process in making this game, Jamie?
Yeah. So the thing is like uh so early on when I was making games, I felt like pressure to like create queer games. And so I remember there's a point I was talking about on Twitter. I was like, oh, I should be doing more to create queer games, but I don't know what that means. And then Kazumi Shin, they were like, the thing is, all your games are queer, right? Because all your games focus on relationships and emotions and how they're always the most important things. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I hadn't realized that. And so the more I look back at it, especially now that I get to return to my games, I can see how important it is that I'm queer. Like, it's such an important part of my identity that I spent my whole life like discovering, and so it really does show in my games. And so in particular with our haunt, the found family was so important to me because uh it feels like as a queer person there are varying difficulties in family like really seeing us. I feel um my mother, for example, was really like relieved when I married a guy, and so it meant that I wasn't really queer, right? Even though I know a lot of people can relate. So and yeah, and there are times when I try to admit to my not admit but like tell my family about my queerness, and it doesn't really get seen or accepted. Like it's this weird Asian thing where they're kind of like, if I ignore it, it'll go away, right? Like this queer part of you is just gonna disappear and go away, right? um and so found family to me is really important, and I really thought about like, how does a found family become a family, right? Like what are the messy and beautiful and emotional relational parts, and I really wanted to build that consciously into each of the lures and each of the vulnerable moves, and a way to connect. And yeah, so basically, like the more I thought about my own experience and the more I thought about what was important to me in connecting to people, that's just how the game became more queer as a result of that.
I feel like that kind of answered the second one, which was yeah, right? Yeah. But I want to ask you, Jamie, what excited or surprised you about today's play?
Yeah, I think, oh my gosh, there's so much. I think what really excited me was seeing, because especially because most of you, this is your first time playing Belonging Outside Belonging. So I just love seeing everybody just really throw themselves into the vulnerable moves and really open it up to interpretation. I thought that was super, super fun. I really, because BOB, right, tends to be a game where the more open you are and the more you just throw yourself out there, the more beautiful the experience and the game becomes. And I felt like everybody really did that. I really did appreciate like, oh, I forgot, like another wonderful magical moment for me was when Doc was giving forgiveness to the little people of the village. I thought that was so cute, and the little twinkling lights. But yeah, and I just really love seeing the playbooks really come to life. Like I really love Jesse bringing about the faceless. Like I could really just feel that so strongly, like how connected Calypso was to everyone's emotions. And then when Calypso would turn cruel and unkind, it was very cool to see, very awesome. And I really loved like as Beatrix, I really felt like the cat will save us, right? Like Eleanor will save us because that's what cats do, right? So I also admit, as a GM, I realized I had a hard time bringing in Eleanor into the scene because I knew the Dread Queen was going to come and I didn't want the cat to get hurt. So I was a little too gentle. I apologize. That was my fault.
There's always transference and bleed.
Right? There was like, because my own cat's like sleeping very cutely on the side, like, oh, my little girl. But yeah.
Don't worry, because of the Hollywood writing book, everyone will always go to save the cat.
Right. Exactly. 100%. But it was so, I never get tired of seeing people take the game that I make and really making it their own. So it was so magical seeing everybody do that so beautifully today. So I was so grateful for the experience.
Yeah. Did any of you have any specific questions that you'd like to ask Jamie before we get into our safe specific question?
I guess and I don't like we had that one moment where Belladonna had the lure for me and I was like so ready to jump on it, but we were having this other great storytelling moment, so I set it aside and I was thinking a little bit and thinking a little bit more about like what role does the lore play in the game. And I know there's a token base to it, but as we think about playing this more as a game designer, sort of what was your thought in creating the lure?
Yeah. Excellent. So like I do feel that I'm trying to resist the urge to like geek out too much, right? So so basically like you have your
wait
moves as a playbook.
Here, like, is there a thing as geeking out too much for this
situation?
No.
When I go, it really I can talk about game design for hours. So I try to control myself.
Okay. Now I understand.
Yeah,
just time constraint.
But yeah, so basically you have at your disposal all of your playbook moves, so you are very aware of your themes and your archetype and what you're going for. And the lore is a really nice way for another player to be aware of it, right? For another player to be like, oh, this is your theme, right? So if I ask the doll to sing a song, or if I tell the doll a white lie, like I try to design it in a way of, oh, why is the doll like about a white lie, right? And so it relates to the doll's themes of manipulation and things like that. I just wanted an opportunity for people to tell the cat that they're cute. I'm going to be very honest. So that was why. That was one of the lures. And I also tried to make the lures a little easy to remember. So one is a question you ask or something you ask, and the other one is something you say, just so that you have either option, just to remember. But the thing about BOB, which is really interesting, is there are all these different pieces that move around, and it really takes time to like master them. So even though BOB doesn't have math a lot, and there's no dice rolling, there is a mastery in getting used to like the palette that's available to you, right? So for you to draw upon. And so the lore is definitely one of those, which is why actually like I try not to bring in the lore in the first session because people are already taking a lot into account. But we had we had Belladonna come in with the lore really strong from the start. It's like, ooh, we have an expert, we have a pro. So
and we have another session. So
yeah,
we can all lean into the lures next time.
Yeah, exactly. So but great question.
I will admit I knew I wanted to use a lure for my first move. And it was either to tell Eleanor how cute she was, like jumping after the clothing and stuff, or it was I really wanted to somehow, like you described this curio cabinet filled with dolls, like I couldn't not. So that was why and Doc was there. So yeah, no, that was like so cool. It was great. Did anyone have any other questions at the moment? You guys are so shy now all of a sudden.
How did you get such amazing artwork for the game?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So this is such a treat, right? Because as a typical indie game designer, it used to just be like, I'll go to unsplash.com and get what I can as photos, right? So Jay Dragon and Ruby Lavin from Possum Creek Games, aesthetics and art is super important to them. I think the shows in all of their games, right? And it was Jay just created this like beautiful list that Jay and Ruby, created together. It was like a list of maybe I want to say like 10 artists, right? And Jay was like, just pick whoever you like, right? You can add more as you like, and then we'll reach out. And so I'm really happy to say that Habil was like our first pick. So when Habil said yes, I was just really, really amazed because he does this really amazing watercolor art and when Jay was reading the Arhant text and we were talking about it, Jay really understood that what I couldn't show because I only had free stock photos to draw upon is that the intention of Arhant is that it is cozy as it is scary, right? Like those two things are very important. Which I also think is another queer thing, right? Like understanding the spectrum of emotions, but so there. And yeah, so it was really important to Jay and Ruby when they were talking to Habil, our artist, like how to really like bring that art to life. So yeah, like just amazing stuff. It was great. I got to see the art like come from sketches to like the final stuff really, really in a cool way.
Awesome. Yeah. So our final maybe question is a long one. So the Bodhana group says that the board, card, dice, and role-playing games all inherently provide the opportunity to build skills such as reading, writing, arithmetic, socialization, manual dexterity, deductive reasoning, etc. They also say that role-playing and storytelling games provide a nurturing and safe environment where people can work through trauma, anxiety, and other emotional issues. How can you see this game being used in these ways? Or creator, Jamie, what thoughts do you have about professionals using your game intentionally? So whoever would like to answer what part, any part of the question, can.
Yeah, I can definitely like jump in. I think like I would love to see professionals using the game intentionally to because I myself have had to very recently like work through a traumatic experience. Like I was working with a therapist to like um, understand it, and so there was a time when I decided to play the character of the person who had hurt me, right? So I took on that role. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to be the betrayed today, like someone who is hurt but hurting others, right? It's easier for them to hurt people. And so yeah, like definitely I think a lot of the playbooks can offer like an alternative, a way for you to play as another person and to see like the similarities between that person and yourself, right? And so and what happened for me today was as I was playing Beatrix, I kept thinking they're really dangerous, but it's really important that they like protect someone, right? And they really felt like they had to protect Eleanor. So that was really an interesting experience for me. But yeah, I'd love it if professionals would be like, so which one of these playbooks is more like someone's perspective that you want to explore, right? Like who do you relate this playbook to this person? That would be really cool.
Yeah. And I also think it'd be really interesting to see how just playing the different characters and seeing here's all of the game options, like the mechanics of it. How are you going to use that in this situation versus in this situation? what do you feel if you use it like this? What do you feel if you have a plan to go one way and then suddenly you switch it? And what's the thought process of creating these characters and how they're interacting? And I think that'd be a really good way looking at that socialization, looking at relationships, emotional like understanding and awareness, and just using this game in that way.
I thought,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, you go.
Okay. So I was thinking a lot about using this for like processing grief and loss. And I love it because being belonging outside of belonging, like we have more control over what happens with the game. Like you don't have to worry like about suddenly, oh, you had a bad roll and there you go. But we could like take it where we needed it to go or in that moment. And so I could see it very much being used therapeutically or in a, like a spiritual sense too.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth with the grief and loss there, because that's definitely where I was going with it, for my character. But like I just saw so many great opportunities that this could be used with the right group. I think that you'd have to be very intentional about what group you use it with. But just like the betrayed, like who hasn't ever felt like grievously wronged, or even the faceless. I'm just thinking like feeling invisible, feeling like you're there for a lot of other people, but not, maybe people aren't there for you, but do you let people be there for you? And just, yeah, I think that this is it. It opens up the door for people to kind of understand themselves a little bit more, and also understand new ways of interacting with those around them because of the constraints of each of the playbooks. Like there's certain things that each character is going to be doing or can do, and you can be very creative with it, but people usually start with what's right there already. And I think that that can really open up new ways of interaction, which is really cool.
I did want to say, and I know I come from a pretty different background than most of the people that are playing here. I've been in therapy my whole life, and I'm married to a therapist, but I'm not a therapist myself. But I do teach storytelling and I work with lots of young kids. And the biggest thing that's come through in the last few years is the surge of the at least in the US, for social emotional learning, especially here in California, and that, having emotional intelligence actually qualifying as part of the intelligence that you need to live your life, which I'm so thankful for. And I think that the way that these characters are each that you can choose from in the locations are written, it both, you know, gives you an introduction to writing and thinking about emotions and feelings that is both very clear but also not stereotyped, and understands the complexity and the struggle of motivations, like what, each character has kind of two paths they can go. Like with Doc, I could have gotten like really mad and angry that I was brought back, but Doc, being the sweet little guy that he is, that just wants to make everybody feel better, um is like, there were times where like I was like, should I be getting angry about stuff? And I just had a personal aha moment that that's me. Anyways, so a really hard time. Like I give people tons of breaks. So I'll be talking to my therapist about this on Tuesday. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That is, I mean, amazing. um like, unless there's anything else that anyone would like to say, I can do our outro for us. Man, first of all, I want to thank Jamie, Maggie, Nina, and Jesse for all just making yourselves so vulnerable for this game today. Like, what a great game. I'm going to remember this for a really, really long time, for forever probably. But I want to thank the Bodhana group for just all of the wonderful work that you do. I thank everyone for all of their donations. We got a lot of money during the stream. We got up to 602, and I think that means something. Something about tips with Tim or something. I don't know. But that's more programming for the Bodhana group. Yay! An announcement is that so this was our special broadcast of Gaze of Our Lives to do our haunt with Jamie, and we're so thrilled. Please check out the Kickstarter that is in 1 day if you're in the Philippines and 2 days if you're in the United States. And next Sunday is the start of our new game, Grand Guganal, where some of these faces that you see on the screen will be there playing more creepy characters. And we're going to be exploring how Grand Guganal helps us explore our identities. And then next Sunday we've got, and Friday there's Kids on Brooms. No, sorry. I'm reading too many things right now, you guys. So Grand Guganal's next Sunday. This coming Friday is Kids on Brooms. And there's other really wonderful games that Apocalypse Keys and Once More Into the Void are both in playtest, being made by Jamie. And there's a bunch of other lovely games on itch.io, and I'm sure someone will put it in the chat. And yeah, anything that you'd like to say before I do like a little blurb before we close out, Jamie?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say thank you again, everybody, for playing. It was such a wonderful time. And yeah, I work on a lot of games. So if you want to keep track, you can follow me on Twitter at Temporal Hiccup, where I talk about the games. But yeah, thank you again. It was so great to be here.
Yeah, it's just awesome. So closing out, I think this might be the last event for SAFE 2021, maybe. I think. I'm not certain. There might be another stream or something. There is, Nina? Okay. No, okay. So, you guys are making so many confusing faces. So it's been real, like dice through the dice tower. These are the gaze of our lives. Tune in next Sunday for another episode. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.